So if your calendar is completely filled up with delivery to your clients, then you have a huge problem in your business.
Today's episode is going to be all about delivery models, where we're talking about how to deliver in your coaching business to make sure that we are setting it up and tailor fitting it so that it suits what we want to give away, and also so that we deliver to our clients, but also so that we make sure that we take care of ourselves, so that we have fun doing what we love, coaching people.
Yeah. What would you say is like the most common struggles like coaches will have when they are choosing a delivery model?
It's a good question. So it's not one size fits all. So it's not everyone is going to go through the same thing. But on a certain level, I believe that most coaches aren't very aware, or like it's not a conscious decision.
No.
Like, this is the way that I'm going to deliver, and it's not super structured. It's rather kind of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. So it kind of like, here's something I could do, and here's something I could do, and here's something I can do, and oh shit, I could also do this thing, and I could sidestep and do this thing, and that would be super cool. And then it turns into a very complex and big thing that just goes all over the place, and we end up spending a lot of time putting it together, making sure that every one of our clients gets a decent experience. And like, one problem that occurs with not having a structure in how we deliver is that we need to be alert all the time, and we need to solve problems that occurs left and right, and we need to step in and do a lot of one-on-ones and stuff. So one of the first kind of questions that I would suggest is to sit down and actually paint it out, and start with figuring out, okay, so what's the finish line? So what's the finish line for my clients? Where do I want my clients to end up?
Yeah, because what happens often is like there's two things I see a lot of people are drawn by. One being, oh, my client said they needed this or they wanted this. And then suddenly we meet coaches having like 5, 6, 7 different programs, not built up necessarily as a client journey, but more as like client side steps. Oh, they also said they wanted this thing. And then they said they wanted this thing. Another thing I see is making decisions on delivery model based a lot on limiting beliefs. One of the limiting beliefs I've seen that really popped up the last year, 1.5 years, because like it's been harder for a lot of coaches. A lot of coaches been struggling for the last 1.5 years. It used to be easy. They were making money. And then suddenly they see like, oh shit, it's been becoming harder and harder and harder to make money. What used to work is not working anymore.
Yeah, something is shifting.
Something is shifting. And then a lot gets into kind of a panic, but then I need to like lower my prices, and more people to go, oh, I need to do a membership thing, something cheap, so I can hold on to my clients, but with something very cheap, because that's what they need now.
Yeah, or I'm not selling as much as I used to, so I need to create another program. I need to sell something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then they're building out and they're making more stuff, and more stuff means more work, and more work means burnout. Like, and not necessarily burnout in a medical perspective, but burnout in we're running out of passion. Like, we take away the fun in it.
Yeah. So you said, where do my clients start? Where do they want to go? But we can even take it back to, what do you want? Like, really base your delivery method on what you want. Let's just like list up, because there's a lot of different delivery methods. If we should list some of them, we have like traditional coaching, doing one-on-ones. A client come in, have a problem, we coach them on that problem, and we meet them a few times, and they're out the door.
Kind of the 70s coaching. It's real therapy. You come in, there is a chair, very comfortable. You can sit down, and the coach looks down and say, oh, so what would you like to talk about today? And then absolutely. I'm not in any way like pissing on that like client coach interaction, because it's super valuable. And for some people, they love it. It's the best thing that they can do. And I believe that is the important part to start with. What is a non-negotiable for you? What kind of relationship do you want to have with your clients? But not just what kind of relationship do you want to have? Also, how do you want to spend your time?
Yeah.
And then we need to look for, okay, so how can I do that without having a cap on my business, so that I can do more of it with more people, helping more people? Because here's a limiting belief. that I hear a lot. And it's, yeah, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to earn more money, and I don't want to make it more efficient. I don't want to take away the personality, like the person to person thing. And when we're doing that, we're asking the wrong questions. The statement, I don't want to because, comes from a limiting belief, and it feeds us with the wrong.
Or.
Yeah, and it feeds us with the wrong question. And it also mixes up a lot of different things, because the question is always, how can I make sure to do more of what I love and serve more people? And if I do more of what I love, my passion is going to go up, and I'm going to feel more fulfilled with my work. And if I'm serving more people, it means that my business will be taken care of. I'm all fine with if we're looking for, I don't want to make $1 million a year. I want to make decent money so that I can save for the future, and I can also take care of my current lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But in order to get to that point, we need to make sure that the business is taken care of.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at the delivery model, a few different versions that we can pinpoint and see from the start is we have one-on-ones, and then we have group programs. And then in the middle, we have hybrids, which means that it's a group program that includes one-on-one interactions. So, and there are pros and cons with everything. And then we can look at different levels of how am I giving it away? It can be done for you, kind of agency style, and then it can be done with you, and then it can be do it yourself. And do it yourself indicates here's a library, and like
teach something, and they can go out and implement it, right?
Yeah. And obviously you can be different parts of the program can be in different parts of the, because some of the stuff do it yourself. One thing that is do it yourself, or should be do it yourself for any client, is come to the meeting. I'm not going to call you and say, hey, our meeting is starting. Are you showing up tomorrow, or that? Because we should always make sure that we view our clients as capable.
Yeah.
It's a really, really big thing. And most of you can understand talking about, like, are they showing up for the meeting? But it's even more than that, because we don't want to build codependency either. Like, my life is going to be good and I'm going to have the result as long as I keep my coach. But that is not what we want to build. We want to build character, and we want to build strength, and we want to build resilience in our clients so that they, after the coaching, can take care of themselves. So the reason why I say that is it's not necessarily just because you're over delivering and giving them everything, taking care of them. It's not necessarily that you're building a strong client and a strong case study.
Is it okay I just take one step back?
Yeah.
Because like we start talking about doing one-on-ones, and then there's the hybrid, and there's all of these different things, and there's pros and cons to no matter what we do. But step number one, what I hear you say is ask yourself, what do you want, and let go of all the but things that comes in the way when there's a limiting belief where you believe it's like it can only be done in one way. It's either or. There's no either or. Everything is a design. The only thing we can see very clearly is that if you decide that you want to have a business that can do at least 6 figures a year, multiple 6 figures, maybe 7 figures and above yearly in revenue, which is the people we speak to. I believe most of our clients actually do want to have at least 6 figures a year. That is the minimum. And it's okay.
Also, you kind of have to, like, if you want to be able to build a business that works, you kind of have to go north of 6 figures, because otherwise you can't take care of your future, your income right now, and
hobby.
your business. Exactly. And then we're not talking business, we're talking hobby.
Yeah. So, but when we want to have a business that is keeping growing, keeping scaling, then we want to be mindful about how can I serve more people and more people, because we need to keep adding more clients without having the first problem that coaches meet when they're growing, and that is that they have a cap on their time.
Yeah.
That is always the first bottleneck for a coach who's growing the business. In the beginning, it's very typical that you really want to help everyone, and you're going to be there, and they call you, and you step up, and you'll be there, and you'll have a lot of one-on-one, but you will have a cap on your time. I remember we had a client once coming to us because she had 16 one-on-one clients. She had a huge problem because she had heavy clients, but they only paid per session they had. Her calendar was full of those 16. So her problem was that she couldn't grow from that. She had a cap on her business. I think it was doing just about 5-6K monthly, and it couldn't do more. And she also had a problem that if one of her clients would leave, well, she wouldn't have another client to come in because she had no time for marketing and sales. So if we look at how to grow your business and not have a cap and just be happy about that cap, you cannot spend more than maximum 30% of your time on delivery.
Yeah, and 30% is a lot.
It's a lot,
I would say,
maximum. Okay, depends on what phase you're in your business. That is the phase when you're going from like 5K month and going to like 10, 15K month. That is where we need to make that transition, because it's normally always about there where we have see the cap.
Yeah.
Depending on what price points you are at,
Of
course. But we need to have time for doing marketing and sales. Otherwise, we are going to have a huge problem in the business. And that means we need to change the delivery model at some point. And the first step we go to when we are going out of like serving our clients one-on-one is either we think group programs, we can look into evergreen group programs. We can even look at, well, I want to have like no charge at all, like 100% online courses for them to go through on their own. Like, what would you say is the pros and cons for the different versions?
First of all, it's very important to realize that there are pros and cons with everything. You know, there is a downside with doing one-on-ones, and that downside might be completely different than the upsides, and the upsides of group coaching could take care of that. And it's not just the simple ones that are the downside of one-on-one is that it takes a lot of time. Now, the opposite of that is upside with a group program isn't like I free up my time, because we need to look at it from the same perspective. So why have we chosen the upside of one-on-one? And then we look at that and see, okay, so the upside of one-on-one is that I'm very close to my clients. So they get a lot of accountability. I'm there for them. I see them. I hear them. I take care of them. I service them, or I serve them. Then we need to figure out, okay, so the downside is a lot of time consumption. The upside is I'm very close to my clients, and I can regulate like their kind of behavior so that they get the outcome. But then we need to look at the same equation for group programs. So what is the equation? Now, the downside in the same area when it comes to client results, that we're speaking about right now, the downside in group programs is that it's a bit more to figure out. It creates a system. You need a system for the same result to happen and work. But the upside in group programs is usually something that people doesn't understand. The upside of a group program is that they do it together with people that are on the same journey. We are not alone. I personally would never buy a one-on-one coach.
No.
I'm not buying one-on-one coaching because I don't need coaching that way. I want to have a team of people, a group of people where I can be in a community, where I can have fun, where I can learn from more people. And if we're looking at just the fact of what the clients are getting out, having a group session and getting a question from someone so that everyone can learn from the question and the answer, a lot of the people are gonna not just learn about the answer, but they're gonna learn about, okay, shit, that was an important question and I didn't know to ask it.
Yeah.
Because there is a phrase that I love that is called, what don't I know that if I knew it, it would take me to the next level. So what don't I know right now?
Yeah.
But if I knew it, it would take me to the next level, and group programs take care of that. So when we're looking into pros and cons, we need to put it in the same category. So just because time consumption is a big con or a big downside in one-on-one doesn't mean that time consumption is a big upside in a group program. It might be, but it's irrelevant because we want to look for the outcome, not managing our own resources.
I think that is actually a key thing here, that we are not here to spend more time with people. If we're being completely honest here, people do not buy time with a coach.
No.
People buy a result. And if they could get the result faster, they would choose that. They're not buying more time. That's, I think, it's a limiting belief I hear a lot of people are having. But they need me. They want me. But no, they don't really. That is your story, that they want you. They might have said that at some point, that, but I want you, because they also have a limiting belief that they need time with you to do it. But in all honesty, they do not. They need to have the result easier and faster. And that is where we need to look into, what is the client journey? Like, how do we ease the way, get them from A to B, where they are when they start, where we want them, like the promise we're giving them, where they'll be when they finish. How can we give that away in a way that doesn't compromise our own values and everything? What do we want as the coach giving that? That is the thing we want to have. I would rather highlight that there is some things that we need to be aware of, that how we are controlled by what we do and how we do it is so controlled with our beliefs about how it should be. And yeah, the other thing you said was actually, if you're going to do the transition from one-to-one to group, the thing is, now you need to know who's your avatar and what is their prime problem they have and the thing they want. Because if you want to sell to many at the same time, you need to get away from the traditional coaching. Because if you're going to deliver that to a group of people, you need to know the group is the same, like have the same problem in the group, and they want the same thing.
And this might sound like a newbie problem, but it really isn't.
No.
Because I've met with so many coaches who are doing like decent money. I have no idea who it is that they help. Because either because they've avoided looking at it because it's uncomfortable, or because they're just good at marketing and sales, so they're just selling to everyone.
Or afraid of deciding on one thing because there's so much they can do. But I can help everyone. I could also help this one. Because you're right, it's not new coaches. People are doing 20, 30K a month, but it's still like, but I could do that. Instead of having one client journey, it's like, whatever they want. And you're not in control, because every time someone comes up with an idea, you're not sticking to your idea or your expertise. And trust me, if you're the coach and the expert, you've been doing this with a lot of clients, you know what they need, but you also kind of get into the pleasing role of what they said they wanted this thing. And suddenly you give that, but that's probably not what they want, because they have limiting belief. That's what they think they want.
But I love it because it gives the answer. Because you've had a lot of clients, it means that you have a lot of data, you have a lot of insights, which means that if you mapped it out and looked at what are all the common problems that my clients experience, then we can map it out, and then we could actually draft. Okay, so what's the baseline? What is the baseline for all of my clients? Because believe it or not, the common denominator of everything that you do in your business is that you're all over the place, which means that you're guiding, directing, and structuring everything, which means that every conversation is going to be based on you and your personality and who you are, which means that you're going to go through a lot of the same stuff with a lot of your clients. So create your niche or create your avatar out of who you are and with the data you have from the clients that you've served before. Because like bottom line, they're all human beings. So we're not that different.
No, but it's okay to say I do this thing, but I do not do this thing.
Sure, it's not just okay, but for the sense of delivery, the most important thing is to find the common denominators so that you can create a process that doesn't drain you of resources. But when we're looking business, it's absolutely essential, because marketing and sales can happen unless you're very clear and you rule people out and you rule people in.
I'm going to throw in another thing now. Evergreens. First of all, just very quickly for those who don't understand exactly the difference, but normal group programs versus evergreen programs. What would you say about those?
So an evergreen program is something that you can join at any time.
Yeah, so it doesn't have a start and a stop date.
No, and the other one is you have a start and stop.
Yeah, so in other words, normal group program, you start the program with a group of clients and you start with them. In an evergreen, the program is ongoing, but you onboard the client and offboard them when they're ready. So they come into a continuum and they have their own journey inside, something that is always living.
Bottom row, it comes down to what you prioritize and what you want to create for your coaching business. But here's the thing. We need to look at pros and cons again. And I'm not talking yellow legal pad where you kind of wrote pros and cons, but where you actually measure them fairly. Because again, like we talked about before with one-on-one and group coaching, there are pros and cons. The pros in a launch, like a course that starts a specific date, is that you have one group that you can build very, very tight, and then you have a back end where
and everyone is exactly at the same level, which means you are completely in control. It's easy to deliver because everyone is getting the exact same thing at the same time. But where it's harder is the administration. There's a lot of administration. You need to work hard because you need to really get the group working. You need to get everyone started, onboarded at the same time. So there's more admin work. I would say it's easier to get people into an evergreen because you already got the group working. But the hard part about an evergreen is that they might be in different places where they come in. So you need to be able to adapt, how do they get started? Is there something that everyone needs to get through before they can go on Q&As or before they go to some other trainings? Do they need to see the recorded training in a specific order? Or is it an individual where you choose for that individual person what they need to see and at what time? We run 2 different evergreen programs because one of them is for people who are all exactly at the same place, which means they're all starting up their business, which means they need to get everything from the bottom up. So they need to go through everything in the same sequence with small difference, but mainly like 99% needs the same things in the same order. But for the other program, our top 1% mastermind, like people who come in there, they're very different because they already got a business. They're already making 5, 10, 20, maybe even 30,000 when they join, which means they come in with experience. They come in with different things that work and doesn't work. So it becomes a more individual way. Even though they come into an evergreen program, they also have their individual journey within that evergreen.
Yeah, we structure it way differently.
It's very different structure. So it's not one size fits all, but it could be different depending on how your audience look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
But it's what's important to take away from that is that you can create it both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do that with a very, very simple like framework.
Yeah, I spoke about the client we had who came to us when she was fully booked with 16 one-on-one clients. What we did with her was actually we changed everything, first of all, into a group program that we had a start date and a stop date, gave her a new offer because none of these clients were at that point on any contract. They just paid like booked 1 hour, next hour. Every time they finished a session, they booked the next session, but with no like contract. So we made a new offer for her to sell like a 4-month group program. And every single one of them said yes to that, knowing that the price of that was way higher than what they've been paying before. And they needed to go away from one-on-one and get into a group. But the offer was so great, they all accepted that and went in there. And from 1 month to the other, she went down in time, like delivery time, to just 2 hours a week instead of having 16 hours a week. But on the other side, she also went from like 5-6K month to 20K month.
Yeah.
In that small thing. After doing that for 2 months, you could see, okay, now I started and stopped enough people so I know like what do they need to see first, and I can change that. From month number 3, she turned it into an evergreen because it becomes easier. So it's another way of delivering. And then we can add hybrid to that. So you can do a group program, but still have the one-on-one sessions. If you still feel like you like that personalization, and you feel like, oh, I need to add that to some clients to make sure they're not falling through, or they're not getting behind or something, you can add that. But you do not need to sell it as a one-on-one. You can also put it in as a part of the offer that is one-on-one. And again, just remember, people do not buy time with you. They might believe so, but what is more important is that they get the promise.
They get the guarantee, they get the result, and they get the outcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We also meet people who want to kind of avoid having too much responsibility and get too close to people. And then they start selling like 100% do-it-yourself online courses. Like pros and cons.
Yeah.
A pro is that it's less time consuming. And I think that's a lot of people who come from the segment of, I want passive income. So I just build an online course and people can do that. And it's passive income because I only record the course once. In theory, and actually even in practice, yes, it's passive income stream, 100%. But I also believe it's like you're not getting that experience because you're not getting the feedback the same way. I don't want to fall into having a limited belief that you can't get feedback just because it's online course, because of course you can do that, but you don't have that working close together with your clients on a daily basis, which means I would say it's hard to become a high ticket coach doing that, because you do not have the same experience as someone like us and other people who really work deeply with their clients for years. So that is one thing, but I believe it's a passive income stream. But I also believe another thing, if they are buying 100% online course, you also sell it cheaper because there's less hands-on and harder to give a high guarantee because you don't have the hands-on to make sure they actually reach the guarantee. So that means also the offer price probably is lower. And when the offer price is lower, well, then you need to market it in a cheaper way because you can't really have sales calls because it's too costly. Your selling strategy cannot be too costly, which means you need to get to a place where you can do this mostly paid ads, mostly like a funnel that will work. That takes time to build. So would you agree with me that I would say that strategy is actually better once you've done everything else, because then you have the experience, the practice, the money, everything, but not as a startup strategy?
Most importantly, you have the resources to fund it.
And you got a name at that time as well. So it'd be much easier to sell.
Yeah, but even if you just had money and you had the skill of being able to put the right people at the right place, you could do that. But let's just be honest. Most people doesn't have that.
No.
Most people aren't there. So to build something that generates income passively, you need to know how to create that into an automated system. And I've tried it in my like younger years. I've tried it like many times, and I lived with the dream scenario of, if I do this, then I will never have to work again. If you're not prepared to do the work, you're never gonna see passive income streams.
And if you're selling low ticket, you need like a huge audience to be able to build the freedom on the other side, right?
Yeah, and when we're looking at low ticket, like for me, most online courses serve no purpose other than for marketing. The biggest purpose of that is to build an audience, not to earn money.
Yeah.
And they usually spend their entire price point of that marketing thing, the online course, is usually the same as they spend in ads. So it's just a break-even game in order to build a really big audience so that we can sell the real thing. And it's very normal in the business world to like navigate it that way. And for coaches, I would say the best thing that you can do, especially when you're in a phase of growing it into 6 figures and getting there, is meet with your clients. Fall in love with your clients, understand your clients, and also understand when they fall off. Like have a pre-designed journey and a pre-designed outcome so that you can know if they're kind of sliding out of structure, so that you can then reach out to them, whether it's one-on-one included or not. But when you say that they're kind of sliding away from the program, then you can book a call and you can bring them back. And you can help them get back on track. Let's wrap this up. If you've loved this episode, let us know. Give this a like, subscribe to our YouTube. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, all of these podcast episodes are being live feeded on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see it there under Beyond Coaching. And if you want to get in touch with us, I mean, you're always free to send us a message on Instagram at The Millionaire Coaches, or join our free Facebook group if you're more of a Facebook fan.
Link is below.
The links are below. And until we meet next time, have a fun time coaching, guys.